the big news in sports yesterday had to do with who the Rockets are not going to be bringing back. Aren't you relieved that this James Harden
You know what I'm more
rumor's over?
Here's what I'm not even relieved by it, because tell me who thought this was actually realistic.
I did, because the Fertittas love James Harden. And I wasn't 100% sure that Rafael Stone has the power to tell Tillman Fertitta, Patrick Fertitta, to shut the bleep up.
I don't know, but look, at the end of the day, Tillman Fertitta likes a lot of things. Doesn't mean that he does it. I mean, look, he blew this thing up 3 years ago for a reason. And it would have made no sense. And I'll tell you what, you talked about that Kelly Iko. So you got Kelly Iko and Sam Amick wrote an article for The Athletic, basically kind of detailing what went down and why. I mean, look, when Daryl Morey says, you know what, I'm done, that tells me all I need to know about James Harden, the player, okay? And he got new representation in February, which is really when this whole thing about him possibly coming back to Houston started, okay? The Rockets, look, nothing about the Rockets suggested he was coming back. It was I'm telling you right now, and Paul, you've been doing this long enough. Mapes, you've been doing this long enough. There was never any substance to it other than it was just a bunch of media nonsense where, look, it's James Harden. It was a cute story. But if you peeled back the curtain, it made zero basketball sense to bring James Harden back to Houston.
Is it always about basketball sense, though? Because I know there was a piece that was in the Philadelphia Inquirer coming from the Sixers beat reporter who was suggesting that Houston wanted to bring him back.
For what?
The reason would be not a basketball reason. The reason would be, I think, Fred, this team sucks so bad and people care so little about them. At the very least, let's have a watchable product with a player that we think that a lot of people in Houston like, which might not actually be the case.
Look, I like James Harden in the regular season. I think James Harden is probably a good guy. Okay, but are you going to a Rockets game? And put your job aside. You know what? Open up the phone line, 713-780-3776. If he came back to Houston, who's saying to themselves, better go get my season tickets?
No one.
Better show up. Because, look, I went to the Mavericks game. I took my son to the Mavericks-Rockets game, and look, that thing was probably, 80-85%. And, of course, our boy Luka put up a fitty spot, okay? Nobody's coming to watch the Rockets because of old-ass James Harden.
I agree.
Like, that's where he's at. James Harden is now – James Harden isn't even the number 2 option anymore. James Harden is a 3.
The idea, I think, would have been James Harden on the Rockets makes the Rockets marginally better, or actually makes them better, and then that will kind of gain more interest. But then I think as they got closer, they're like, you know what else would make us better? Instead of throwing all this money at Harden and maybe one other guy, we can actually spread this around and be smart with the money as opposed to just the kind of star bleeping impulses that we might have of hey, we love James Harden. Let's bring back James Harden. We have money. Let's do it. They're actually, maybe it was Stone, maybe it was Ime Udoka once he got hired, sat him down and was like, yeah, the thing is though, Harden's not going to fit my vision as a coach.
No, I mean, look, and I don't know who was the driving force behind it, whether it was Rafael Stone, and why do we not call him Raphael? Who's
great question. I was told that I was pronouncing it wrong. It's well, damn, sorry, bro.
I would love it. Look, next time, can you guys get Rafael on the phone or in studio and ask him, can we get the reason for why you're pronounced Rafael? Because I've never met a Rafael in my life, and I would just love to know why he's Rafael Stone.
Classic guy who went to one of those fake liberal arts, almost Ivy League schools. I think he went to Williams College.
He was called Raphael his entire life. All his boys back home call him Raphael or Raph.
He's an international man.
Or another, somebody's like, no, let's call it Rafael.
International man, right. It's Ibiza is Ibiza and Barcelona instead of Barcelona.
Whether it was Rafael, whether it was Tillman, whether it was whoever, it was the two of them sitting there one day in his helicopter flying around H-Town and decide, you know what, we need to go all in on this Ime Udoka guy. Look, that is going to go down to me as one of the best decisions in Houston sports history.
It's the best move that the Rockets have made since they brought Chris Paul in, I think. I mean, and it's been a while since they've made a move I really like.
I'll put it to you like this. I would call it right now one of the top 3 best decisions in Houston sports coaching history.
Wow. Okay, let's think of this.
But think of it. Rockets haven't look.
None by the Texans, none really by the Oilers. So
Thank
there you go.
So that's already out. Okay.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans.
All right.
D'Amico could be, but we're
Speculative.
early.
Man, look,
Speculative.
D'Amico has not done it. Look, I'm all in on the D'Amico Ryans bandwagon, okay? But Ime has been there, done that, and done it in a short amount of time. And, oh, by the way.
Been there, did somebody else's wife, too, allegedly.
And again, and look, I said this last week. When you can tell Nia Long to kick rocks, all right, that tells me all I need to know about you as a person. Oh!
The confidence you're
The
stepping into the
swag!
job with.
My man, the swag.
To go after your
Oh!
boss's wife? Yeah, that's swag, all right.
Dude, I'm telling you. And then,
Allegedly, of course.
look, Ime bows down to no man, all right? And I am not look, Ime no more wants any part of James Harden, all right, than anybody else in this town, all right? And it just, and again, the bottom line is whether it's Ime Udoka, whether it's Phil Jackson, whether it's Steven Silas, I don't care whether it's Jeff Van Gundy, all right? Who's James Harden making better? Who is James Harden making better?
Well, I mean, when Deshaun Nix is your ball handler the year before, I feel like he actually is a better alternative.
No, you're missing my point. If I'm Jalen Green, if I'm Jabari Parker, if I'm Amen Thompson, okay? Or Jabari Smith.
You got it. You got it.
Am I, like, you're sitting yourself and you're thinking, let's see, this guy's reputation is great three-point shooter, awesome in the regular season, loves going to strip clubs, in no particular order. Name me the last time James Harden took a team on his back and made it and made a champion out of it.
Never happened.
Never
happened.
So you want me to put that around my my impressionable group of young stars?
Totally get what you're saying. And this is a matter of, you got the people at the top who want this product to be relevant again. Like that's what they're looking for versus the people that are in charge. And
Ime Udoka makes you relevant.
But to go back to what you were saying with Udoka and with Stone, like I have more faith in Stone all of a sudden now because clearly they have the power to say, nah, we're good. Because there is a relationship between Tillman Fertitta, between Patrick Fertitta, his son, and James Harden. I don't understand it myself, but if you are able to stand firm and say, nah, we're not doing it, which clearly they weren't, good. That is a good sign for this organization because there have been very few from this organization the last couple of years.
Well, and look, I think we at the end of the day we got to thank Tillman Fertitta. I mean, look, the guy didn't get to be a billionaire by being a complete moron.
No.
Okay. I mean, look, you can.
He's done great things with the University of Houston. Just the Rockets have not been very good, and there's been some restaurants that I used to go to that, I used to go to them.
And I've heard he's not the nicest to vendors and employees. Again,
Wouldn't know.
Just heard that.
No idea.
Heard that from
Again,
a couple different
doesn't
people.
become a billionaire on accident.
Right.
Again,
You're saying he might bleep some people over.
He might. He might. Right.
I have lots of friends. It doesn't matter what I do. Doesn't matter what I do to my employees. Doesn't matter. Art of the deal, bitch.
Whoa.
That's exactly it, right? So for him, because look, he understands you cannot keep being the laughing stock of the NBA. And the thing about the NBA is this: you can be bad for about 2 or 3 years and then finally start to turn it around, right? And I think whether you grab a Fred VanVleet, and I don't know, was it Kyle Kuzma was the guy you were talking about as the other person?
Oh,
look, if
the
you
Dylan Brooks.
look, I'd rather have Dylan Brooks than Kyle Kuzma.
I don't mind Dylan Brooks, actually. I think Dylan Brooks might toughen them up a little bit in practice. To have some son of a bitch that's going up against them, I just want him to shut up and stop shooting.
Well, because he can't shoot, right? I mean, that's the thing.
But he shoots. He wants to shoot more, though. That's one of the reasons that he and the Grizzlies had a disagreement. It's like, okay, Dylan, like no one else thinks you should shoot.
But I think that's where, again, Ime Udoka comes in, and they played a clip yesterday of him talking with your old girl about what he's looking for. Yeah, about what he's looking for in free agency this year, in a player this year. And look, Fred VanVleet fits that bill. Kyle Kuzma, you don't want Kyle Kuzma.
No, that's like another Kevin Porter Jr.
I think Kuzma is a better player than Dylan Brooks, but he's not a better fit for what the Rockets need.
He's another Kevin Porter Jr. Am I wrong?
Yeah, he's coming in, so you give him a big contract, and he comes in thinking, well, it's my job with this big contract on a team where I look around and it's a bunch of 21-year-olds. Yeah. Is my job to score 25 points a night, and that's not what the Rockets need.
Because that's the thing is I don't know that you necessarily need a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
You don't.
You
You need the toughness. You need the just veteran presence.
And you need those young players to, I think, develop their own confidence. And I think someone like Kuzma is going to look at them and say, like, oh, they're my little brothers, right? Like, right away, is the respect going to be there for those young guys who are clearly the future of the team? I don't know. I think if you're a veteran player and you come into this, you're going to be like,
That's where Freddie V comes in.
Freddie
Okay.
VanVleet.
First of all, there's not enough Freds in the world, period. Okay. So if you're already Freddie V, you're already special. Okay. Fred, automatic chip on the shoulder
Time
guy.
to go to break.
Automatic.
This
It's
propaganda.
the Paul Gallant show.